There we go. So officially, welcome to the call. Stay on the line. Why most agents lose the sale in the first 30 seconds. Again, I'm going to be respectful of your time. For us, it's late on the East Coast, 8 o'clock at night. It tells me a little bit about everybody that's on here. If you're in a different time zone, that's just something about you as well. But it becomes my obligation to make sure this is completely worth your while. So for those of you who don't know me and my background, I'm Tony G. I've been in sales, management, training for over 30 years. For the last 15, it's been almost exclusively in the Middle America Simplified Issue vertical, specifically in life insurance. I started back when it was direct mail, mortgage protection, face-to-face, transitioned over the course of the years into telesales. Along the way, I did some Medicare, I did some annuities, did some IUL, life settlements, self-employment, healthcare, retirement products, a whole lot of things along the way, a lot of different IMOs, a lot of different agencies, learned a lot along the way. But what's been my passion is actually to learn those things in order to train others how to sell and obviously grow teams, hence why we're sitting here tonight. So the only other thing is I'm really hesitant about somebody who starts off a call and then wants to spend the first hour talking about how great they are. So I don't want to toot my own horn. And I do see two of my close friends on here. I'm going to call them close. We'll see how well they talk about me at this point. But so I'd ask them, because they'll say nice things about me. So I'm going to ask, if Jonathan, if you don't mind, a wise man said to me that you have not arrived in this industry. You've been arrived in sales, period, as an entrepreneur, unless you, let me see if I can quote it right, till you make it, you lose it, you make it again, you lose it again, and then you still have it in yourself to do it one more time. And I know that's where you're at right now. So I'll go ahead and throw it over to you here. If you don't mind, I know you have a thriving team. You're growing by leaps and bounds. You're one of the tops in our IMO as well. So I respect that your take on the importance of systems and trainings and things like that. So based on your experience, you and I have spent a little time together. Maybe you could talk about our first encounter if you feel like that. But what would you expect for those that are here that don't have any clue what's going on? What can they expect tonight?
Yeah, man. Thanks for the opportunity just to be able to share really, really quick here. But I can tell you, I know some of you I don't know. You guys don't know me. So take what I'm saying. If you like it, great. If you don't, flush it, no big deal. But I can promise you, in my business, I am sitting here today because I met a guy by the name of Tony G. Now, I'm from Blue Ridge, South Carolina. And if you don't know where that is in the middle of nowhere, redneck USA. And we hosted an event for our group here. And there was a guy that showed up to our office here and had no idea who he was. It was open to our IMO. And he was a guy that was invited by one of the founders of our IMO. And he came in and he was super nice and really enjoyed getting to meet him from the introduction. And if you know anything about our group is that we work extremely hard. And we bought into a system, and that system was called collaboration and hard work. And we were grinding it out. We had just transitioned from face to face to doing 100% over the phone. And we were, quote unquote, figuring it out, which means that we were working really, really hard. And during the course of the couple, 3 days that we were here, I would watch this big bald-headed guy with sunglasses on his head and a flowery shirt walk around, and he was pouring into everybody that was there. And what caught my eye is he was actually talking to a lot of people that were in my group and was on my team and that sort of thing. And I knew that he wasn't associated with them because if I didn't know him, they didn't know him, but he was helping them. And the information that he was giving them was absolutely 100% on point. I was listening in, eavesdropping in on that. And every now and again, you just saw him walk over to his computer. He would sit there for, 45 minutes to an hour, and then he would get up and he would go to a whiteboard and he would write AP on the board. And I watched him do that. And I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I'm in the shed. I looked at him and I said, "Hey," I didn't know his name at that time. I said, "Hey, bud." If I'm calling you bud a lot, that means I just don't
You
know
had a
your
nice time.
I was like, "Hey, bud, hey, come back here to my office real quick." And I just asked him. I'm pretty straightforward, and I said, "What are you doing?" And he's like, well, it's not really the same system. And I really want to respect the guys that are there that kind of put it on. I was like, whoa, 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 man, we're all independent business owners here. Like, I want to win. And what you're doing is winning. I am working really hard and I know I will win. But if I can win faster, I've always had a saying, fast is fun and slow stinks, right? I want to do it faster. And he
And
introduced me
there's Southern
to
Redneck for you.
he introduced me to a system, and he didn't have to. He didn't financially benefit from anybody that was in my group. Our IMO put on an event. I had another person that is in my group. He reached out to Tony, and Tony went to lunch with a group, and that group quickly at that time become the fastest growing group in my entire organization at that time, and it was all because of Tony. And so to say that I'm super excited to be here and to be able to share a little bit about who Tony G is, a little bit about his character. There is nobody that's better to teach you how to run this process, how to work this process. Now, without question, he'll go over this. The only common denominator is the work. If you're not putting in the work, he can give you all the right scripts, all the right words. He can, but he can't work for you. But he'll give you all the other ABCs and the 1, 2, 3s to be able to make this thing work for you. So, man, Tony, I appreciate you inviting our group to here. You're in some of those text messages threads, and I always tell everybody, if you've got a team, if you've got a group, and if you're leading somebody, and if you look in the mirror in the morning and there's somebody looking back at you, you're leading somebody, right? And you're in telesales, you should be on this. There's a couple of things I always have. I always have a notepad, because what I've learned is the shortest pencil is better than the longest mind, right? And another thing too is I want everybody in my group, because I could take this information back to my group, but if they're not in the room, they're going to miss something. See, I can't create what was meant for them if they're not here in the room. I can give them stuff, but they can't. And so Tony's actually gets to experience that I promote. Like I was, I gave a 10-minute warning. I didn't give a 2-minute warning. I hit him up earlier today. I gave him a 10-minute warning. Like, so I would highly encourage you to send out a last-minute text message reminder and shoot this link to somebody that if you don't see them here on the Zoom right now and they need to be here and they need to be here, go ahead and send that out to them, because I promise you, I'm just honored to be here with guys like Tony G, and I hope he throws it to Mike Hall, because on the heroes, the Mount Rushmore of telesales, Corey Bell, Tony G, there's a handful of people, and man, maybe I just need to shave my head, because like all these guys got like short hair.
Not saying.
Mike
Just
Hall, I
saying.
hope he throws it over to Mike Hall, because Mike Hall is definitely on the Rushmore, Mount Rushmore of telesales individuals. So appreciate you, Tony G.
I think we can just call that. My head is so big right now. I don't think it's fitting on the screen. Thank you so much for all those kind words, for sure. I super appreciate you, your team, all great people as well. So, but since Mike is here, we might as well hear something from him as well. Mike is a fantastic human being. Okay, he has served his country as a Marine. He has served his community as a firefighter. His team pours into them all the time. He's serving them and teaching them how to serve others as well. So, but based on our history, same thing, Mike. If you don't mind sharing a couple kind words, if there's anything left, because I think Hendo made up about half of what he said there. So that's great. You can make up a couple more nice things. That would be fantastic. But share with everybody what you think.
Hey, man. Well, first of all, I'm humbled and honored to be invited to the call with you, Tony. Thank you. Just to give a little bit of credibility to what what Hendo just said, if you don't know him, we just got back from what we call our main event at our organization, and Hendo was one of the main speakers on the main stage and had the most amount of energy out of anybody on there. So you're hearing somebody that speaks to thousands of people that is a go-getter, that's a winner in business in general. Guys, a little bit about me. I've been an introvert my entire life. I've really not had any experience in business before this business. I've been in this business for almost 14 years. I've done a lot of face-to-face final expense. I've done a lot of face-to-face mortgage protection and a lot of virtual mortgage protection. Just over a year ago, I had my entire world taken away from me. My entire business went from a 7-figure amount of revenue to zero overnight. We joined Lasting Mark, didn't know anybody, had no clue how to sell final expense over the phone, like literally just a fish out of water. One of the very first people that I met in this company was Tony G. Didn't know him from Adam. He didn't know me. And we connected on a couple of calls. Well, he is so selfless that he literally, for absolutely getting nothing out of it, volunteered 3 entire days, 6 hours, 2 hours a day, pouring into our team, like literally just pouring his heart and soul into it, giving us first class training. That's how I learned how to sell over the phone. I learned from Tony G. My team initially learned from Tony G. We still use some of those videos today because of his principles and how sound they are and how well they work. I highly encourage you, come with an open mind and an open heart, have a pen and a piece of paper, be ready to take some notes. And don't just take notes on what he says, but adapt what he says, because he's had a lot of success. He's helped me have a lot of success. He's helped Hendo have a lot of success. And if you're here at 8 o'clock at night Eastern time, then just maximize it. Maximize it. So I'm forever indebted to Tony. I greatly appreciate him. Our team greatly appreciates him. And you couldn't be in front of a better leader tonight. So thank you, Tony. Appreciate you, sir.
My pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. I believe, the old adage, rising tide. I'm around good people, and real recognizes real. That's why, and I'm glad these two gentlemen are here. You're seeing two class act guys. If you're on their teams, you've got great leaders. That they're just two fantastic individuals. I appreciate the kind words far more than anything. It's just part of what I can do. I love the fact that what I can do, it's a God-given gift. Let me make no mistake about it. None of this stuff is, I believe we're endowed with certain gifts. Mine just happened to transfer very well outside of the church into the business realm as well. So it is what it is. But I appreciate both of you all and sharing with me, or sharing about me there. So for the case of time here, now, did anybody else have any problem? Because I'm getting text messages from people saying that it was asking for a passcode to get in. But obviously y'all didn't have that, or you wouldn't be here. So nobody else had any issues with the Zoom link? Actually, I can ask this. Mike or Jonathan, do either of you have Emma, Emma and can't think of their freaking last name right now. Yeah, Emma and Deanna. They're saying that they're saying if you could just text them the link just so they have it, that's fine. But I got half a dozen texts coming in here, and I want to at least be respectful of everybody's story here so we can keep going. So anyway, normally, just so you know, and this is another reason that I said I'm going to try my best to stay inside of my allotted time here. I do not want to, I don't, the goal is not to still be on the call, at 10 o'clock tonight. So that's not my goal. I normally, hang on right here. I think I could do this. Here we go. Make sure everybody can see my screen here. This is normally what my training looks like. This is just the outline. This is not everything that I go over, but this is about a 4-day deal. And it's not like each one of those is one day, but it's just got different things that we break down. I am not even going to scratch the surface, because we're going to talk about just one element of the scripting, which is the intro and making sure we can get past the first 10 seconds. So why am I showing you this part? Well, I'm glad you asked, because this right here controls everything. If your mind is not right, it doesn't matter what the script says, because the script is irrelevant if you're not right here. Okay, so I'm going to spend some time in the mindset side of things, simply because so many people have just a weird idea of what it does and everything else. So I'm going to do this really quickly. I'm trying to get my hang on, I just messed up my whole screen here. If you are, because I know there's going to be different verticals in here. Obviously, mine personally is telesales, final expense specifically. So if you are in a different vertical, you can just take the things that I'm going to say and change them to how it works with you, because I'm going to give you principles. Some things can be very, very specific, but you can change the verbiage. I also will have, for those of you who stick around at the end, I'll make sure that anything that I show you, I'll give you copies of that as well, so that you can actually, use it in your own vertical as well. So all I'm going to say is I'm going to go as fast as I can. Yes, it's going to go. You're going to be drinking out of a fire hose. So it is what it is as far as fast as I can go. Mindset, most important, and then we'll get into the specifics of what we're going to say when we start off on everything. Hang on, I got to get this so I can see people. Okay. Number one, and if you saw that little outline there, there's 4 components I cover. If you're part of Bright Harbor in my organization, this is the part that we get in training. The mindset on who we are, specifically. Then we talk about clients, then we talk about leads, and then we talk about the CRM and the mindset behind all of those. So I'm going to start with who we are and your mindset on that. And I'm going to tell you point blank, I'm not the guy that's going to tell you how hard it is to do final expense. That's where this comes from. I've literally am bouncing around, and my kids have gotten a little older since I started, and they're now more involved because we homeschool our kids, and they're involved in basketball and AU and all this stuff. And we're all over the place with that. But we used to travel. Last year, we did, I think we did 10 weeks. Year before that, we did 12. Year before that, it was 10 as well. So I get out, go around, get out, go around, get out, go around, all that kind of stuff. That's the whole idea. And the point was, I was able to do something that in 4.5 hours in a morning could pay for the whole trip. Just with one day. Now, why is that? My mindset is, this is what I believe. After 30 years in sales, selling over the phone is a very high-end skill. And it's hard to do that, in my opinion, with insurance because there's no face-to-face, touchy-feely, all the rest of that stuff. However, I think if you learn how to have a conversation and learn what you actually are and what you believe, and you can transfer that to your client, now you're not selling, you're collaborating. You're working together with that client, and then it doesn't become this and this and this and this. I started off and was going to cover like overcoming objections and things like that. The best way to overcome objections is never to get them, is to have it part of your script before they ever come up. And I'm going to cover that in a little bit as well. But here's the quick version. Okay. The mindset for us is who we are. We are if you do not believe this is going to be hard because you got to take your belief and transfer it to your clients. We are the most important person that our clients are going to talk to that day at that moment. And if you don't believe that, you're going to struggle. I'm going to tell you that right now. That's why you're fighting, because you have this idea. And we're going to cover that when I get to the clients as well. But we are in the business of serving, not selling. And as soon as you shift from that, your mindset will change in how you speak to people are. And do not think for a second I am ashamed to be a salesman. I am proud that I am in sales, and people that know me, I get that thing, oh, he could sell iced Eskimos. Actually, I couldn't. Okay. I have to have some kind of value behind what I do. Now, if you give me heaters and send me up to the North Pole, yes, I'll come back rich and they will come back warm. That's just the way it's going to work out because of what I believe about what I do. We've got to believe the same thing. We do what we do here within Bright Harbor. I'm just going to transfer it over. Is we do ethical presentations. We do it based on the fact that we know what we're doing is right for the client. We believe in how important our products are, how important we are in the life of what we're doing, specifically in final expense. And again, you guys can apply this to your own. It doesn't make a difference because I'm going to get to the client here in a second. But as soon as you believe in value, that's where the shift comes in, because the problem is that when we do telesales, here's the client. Let me get to I'm going to see on my camera here. Here's us. They answered the phone of a phone number they don't know. So you're down here. And as soon as you start talking, you're a telemarketer. So you're here. As fast as you can, you have got to get to human. You've got to be on the same level with them where they were like, feel badly actually hanging up. And then the longer you talk, you have to elevate yourself to professional, to the point where they feel honored that they're having a conversation with you and they are thankful that they got in touch with you so they can collaborate and fix their problem. That's your goal. Now that's going to start off, that starts off here before you ever dial. You've got to have that in your head. That's why I'm talking about mindset before we get into the specifics of the scripting. We do everything based on ethics, period. And if that's not you, we'll talk about that another time, but we're going to put you in a position. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to actually see if I can drop this in the chat. Part of my training is this little, actually, I think I can. Look at it here. Is this phrase right here. I'm going to put it in the chat so you can copy it, and that way I can talk and you don't have to be trying to write it down as I'm saying it. Ethical selling is the willing and desired exchange of value that moves people to a better place. Got that
Are
from
you
my friend
kidding me?
Roger Short. I'm not kidding you. I got that from my friend Roger Short. So I took the print, the asterisks are in there because you can act. It might help if I hit send so you guys know what I'm talking about. So here we go. All right. So ethical selling is the willing and desired exchange of value that moves people to a better place. Now you can take out what's between the asterisks. So you could say selling is the exchange of value that moves people. And that's a real deal. And they probably are in a better place because they typically, if they're looking to a salesman, you're moving them into something. But ethical selling takes on a whole new, it takes you to a different level because it's an exchange that moves people to a better place. But the key phrase in there, and this is where we're going to settle in for just a second, is the willing and desired part. Now I'm going to let that sink. Willing and desired. Now, you can be, I'm going to give you a lot of things tonight. I'm going to say, I do this and this and this, and this is how I train this. And you're like, I don't do any of those things and I'm successful. That is not my claim. There is always an opportunity. There's always an exception to every rule. And there's a way to do things that will work. But, you know, it's like, I grew up in construction. My dad was a contractor. I grew up with a hammer and nails. I listen to these guys building houses now, and they got these pneumatic guns. They're going, and they do like what used to take me probably an hour, they can do in like literally 10 minutes. What used to take me a morning doing one side of a house, you know, putting up stuff, they do it in like 10 minutes. It's just a tool. It's the difference of what they're doing. Willing and desired is that part of it. I can throw enough stuff against the wall, and just because I'm doing it, I can say it works. Willing and desired is going to be the key here, because when we realize who we are, meaning we are bringing value to the scope here. So this is, again, I'm going through this fast. Bear with me, y'all. All right. They bring monetary value, physical monetary value. So this is a willing exchange. So let's talk about your clients. And I'm not trying to make it into anything more than what it is. We all are in this because we like helping people do this. So the bottom line is it pays our bills and then a whole lot more. They have a dollar sign above their head. If I talk to Mary and we all know this is $83 and change, and that's her monthly, that extrapolates out to 1,000 in AP. And if your contract is at 100, your advance on that, you should make about $750. That's what she has above her head. That's what she brings in value to you. The question is, what value do you bring to her? And don't say I'm her agent, because she doesn't need you. She doesn't need you to get a life insurance policy. She can get it from anybody. You can go to Ethos. You don't even have to have an agent. You don't have to talk to another human being. So you have to start asking yourself, what value am I bringing to the table? What do I bring to that person? And it better be more than $750. Now, she doesn't know that's what she's worth, but you have to figure that out and go, I'm going to do that. So that's where you change your mindset of, you have to be on your best game. You have to know what you know, believe in what you do, and you're going to transfer that over, and that's going to come out of your mouth. That's going to come out of your mouth in the first like 7 seconds. But let's really talk, really quickly talk about our clients. I do have actually, I can do, hang on. I think I have, yes, I do. So let me share this really quickly. Share screen 2. There we go. Oh man, Jonathan, I'm getting with this. Look at that. Look at that. So this is just it's a little thing I do in training and handout. It just goes over, what final expenses. Final expenses in your gig. Again, you can do this for your own. I got another one for mortgage protection people and all that stuff. Here's the general idea of what our clients are. Average. There's always exception to the rule. Average, ages, what they do in general, all this stuff. All I want to do is draw attention to right down here. Okay. If you look at buying behavior, they respond well to relationships. They make decisions on trust, not right here. I'm going to draw arrows pretty badly. Not data. If you are giving them, if you are what I call to if you've been on my team and been part of Bright Harbor, you'll get this from me all the time. And I'll say, you are a talking brochure. That's the only difference. They're just getting data from you. And you know how many people make decisions based on data? Somebody guess. You can use one hand to tell me what the percentage of people that make decisions based on data is. Thank you, Zoom user, even though I know your name's Elizabeth. 0. It is impossible. Psychology teaches us our brain does not make decisions based on logic. You're like, well, Tony, I do that all the time. I process. I'm not saying you don't process the information, but by definition, that's all your left brain does. It just processes. It never comes to the conclusion of pull the trigger. I need to do something. That's an emotional based decision. Let me ask you something really quickly. How much logical sense, for those of you in final expense, do this really quickly. If you can put your hands up real quick. If you're in final, or you're in telesales, period. Let's just do telesales. You better be in telesales, because if you're on this call, you don't know what you're going to be doing. I still have other stuff, but it'll work. Okay. How much logical sense does it make for somebody to give you their personal information over the phone when an hour ago they didn't know who you were? That's a skill set. Never take that for granted. That's a skill set. And some of you are fighting psychology because you're just data dumping on them and data dumping on them and data dumping on them, saying, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know what happens when you data dump on somebody? What's the number one objection? I speak in front of people all the time, go to the stage and everything else. What's the number one objection that everybody gets at the end of a call? Either put it in the chat or say it out loud.
Let me think
about it.
Got to think about it. Got to think about it. I said this a year ago. It's about a year ago, based on the last full-time year that I had on the phones. I said I can count on one hand, a couple $100,000 worth of actual AP. I can count on one hand the amount of people that told me they had to think about it in a year. Now, who wants to get off the call right now and say this guy's an idiot, he doesn't know what he's talking about? There's no way that happens, because I get it every single call. There's a difference in how I speak and how you speak. That's the only difference. There's just a tad difference in what I say. Now, it's actually more than a tad, but we're going to get into there. So understand they do everything based on trust, not on data. But that makes them normals, by the way. It also says that they may require multiple touches. That does not mean multiple presentations for those of you in final expense. It's a one-call close. Anybody who's done this longer than a week knows if you get somebody on the phone and say, I'm going to call you back tomorrow, or they say, call me back in 3 days, the FBI can't find those people. They are gone. You cannot find them. So understanding how our clients operate is extraordinarily important, and who they are. In general, again, now do this for your own vertical if you're not inside of final expense, but you can build this yourself. Inside of final expense, what's the general educational level of somebody inside of final expense? Glad you asked. Typically, barely out of high school, didn't finish high school, or went and got their GED after high school, generally. Generally speaking, if you start life off at 16, 17, 18 years old, and you didn't finish high school or just barely did, what do you have for career opportunities? Even in our great country, it is what it is.
Blue collar,
Anybody
fast food.
There you go. There you go. I, at those ages, was bouncing between Taco Bell and Pizza Hut and Shoney's and a couple other places and stuff like that. And then people that are in that category, because they're not making really good decisions, they're highly emotional and very reactive. Typically, it's always the boss's fault, and they're jumping all over the place. So they're never even they never can stay long periods of time anywhere and work their way up. Because you can do that. It is possible, but generally speaking, they don't. So if that's the case, and they're running through all that stuff, what kind of places are they living in? Section 8 housing, government housing, trailers, apartments on the wrong side of town, all that kind of stuff. You're not going to find people in high rises, and generally, again, in high rises on the good side of town. Their home life, if you've been into the field, I'm going to try something here. See if I can get rid of this one. It's beeping in my ear. I used it too long. Somebody, Jonathan, say something really quickly. I want to see if I can still hear. Unmute and say hi.
What's up, buddy?
Yes.
Can you
Okay,
hear me?
good. Yep. I want to make sure y'all can hear me too. All right. So if their whole life is based on that as well, you go through a couple or a couple of years of that, maybe a couple of decades. Now you're into, subsidized housing, Section 8 housing, all that kind of stuff. That's generally speaking what you're going to look like if you were to run into their house. When you arrive at their house, I've sat with many, 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 many 70, 72, 73-year-old women. And behind me running around is a 6'4" and a 3-year-old. They ain't hers. In case you were confused on how that all works biologically. Kids live, sometimes it's a grandchild. It's the generational things are already going thing. Now, before you go, Tony talks down about people and everything else. I'm not talking down about people. Matter of fact, I'm going to tell you why I think this is important for you to know when I get to the end here. So you got multi-generational, rundown places, not a whole lot of money. Do you think people like that have planned for retirement? Do you think their finances, they have savings? Do you think they have all this kind of stuff going on as well? That they got some kind of investment plan or some kind of 401k or anything like that going on? Nothing. Most people are just drawing just SSI or just Social Security, period. They've been on disability since they were in their 50s, whatever the case is, and they're just going through the motions at this point. So when they go to the doctor, who tells them where to go to the doctor? The government, because that's their government plan. When they go to the store and get food, who tells them how much food they can get? The government, because that's how they get their food. When they decide where they're going to live, how they know where they're going to live? The government, because there's only a certain amount of housing that they qualify for that they can go to, and on and on and on and on. Now, why am I saying all that to you? Because the next thing that we talk about in mindset is leads. If somebody has been in the system pretty much since they became an adult, and they see something on Facebook that says, hey, program available for Texas residents, funding available for your family, whatever the ad says, they see a program. What do they think that program costs? Zero. So if you have a problem with them saying to you, oh, I thought this was going to be free, you haven't done this long enough. And if you have done it long enough, if you've been doing this longer than 90 days and you still don't know how to overcome that, you're not getting trained right. Yeah, I'm being harsh because I don't have a lot of time. So it is what it is. You should be expecting that. It should be in your top 3 rebuttals of ready to go, because you're going to get it because of who you're talking to. This is why I am so animated about who we serve. Now, let me go back to all that listening. You're like, oh, Tony's talking down about his clients. No, I'm not. I'm talking about a part of our society that nobody pays attention to. They are completely underserved. They have no dignity in death. There's GoFundMe's and all this other stuff. You have the ability to bridge that to maybe break generational curses of devastating debt. That could be you doing that, because the guy from New York Life in his $3,000 suit and BMW ain't pulling up in front of the trailer. He is not going in and sitting on the couch with cat hair and cat pee and roaches run all over the place. Yeah, been in the field. Somebody give me an amen there for being in the field. And that is why we love telesales. You have got, seriously, that's where your belief starts, of how much you bring to the table for these people, how much you are going to have the ability to change their lives. And you've got to talk to them that way. So how does that affect your leads? Your leads are an opportunity to simply have a conversation. That's it. They are not an invitation for you to sell anything. We did this we had a meeting with our team and with Bright Harbor the other day, and we were talking about leads and talking about ads and all this stuff. And we let the agents go back and forth. And after about, 15, 20 minutes, I looked at Corey and I said, this was a master class in why agents should not be running their own leads. And yeah, I know I'm going to get some people right now, their feathers are getting all ruffled. Okay. It is what it is. I'm going to tell you why. Because we sat there for 15, 20 minutes and everybody was trying to pitch what the lead should say and sell within the lead. When we were in the field, there was a rule that we said, you don't pitch at the door. Until you can get inside the house and get your legs underneath the kitchen, you got to be at the kitchen table too. When you're sitting in the living room on the couch, you got no shot. You've got to be in the kitchen where decisions are made. So until you're there, you don't start doing the pitch. It doesn't matter what they say at the door. So in telesales, that's when they pick up the phone and they say hello. That's when you can start having a conversation with them, not in the lead. The lead is just to generate a name and a phone number and some general information so that you have something to talk about. That's it, period. And I'm going to tell you right now, you have a conversation with me about leads and how they don't do this and don't do this and don't do this. I'm going to look you right square in the eye and say, I've made more money off of aged leads in every vertical than most people make on working fresh ones. Because I don't care. I know who I'm going to talk to. I know what my value is when I show up. And I don't, we have this is again, saying in Bright Harbor that I say, hey, why is this guy 72 years old and he doesn't have life insurance? Here's the answer. Listen carefully and write it down, because it can be you. Because they haven't talked to me yet. That's it. They have not talked to me yet. And you've got to have that kind of conviction and that kind of belief that you're going to listen to these people, and it doesn't matter what they say. The analogy I use, and I won't go into it tonight, but the analogy I use in training is that they are a stray dog. And here's the analogy. I love dogs. I'm a dog lover. I like it. And I give the analogy when I lived in Chicago and I would walk, from the train station to my office and everything else, and there was little alleyways. I like dogs. I see a stray dog. He looks like he's a little skinny, everything else. I got a biscuit in my pocket. He goes down one of these alleyways where it ends. It doesn't go all the way through. It stops. You've seen him in movies. So he's trapped. He goes down that alleyway. I go after him, and I got a biscuit in my hand. He's a stray dog on the streets of Chicago, and I go walking up to him. It doesn't matter what my intentions are. When I go walking up to him with that biscuit, what's going to happen to Tony's hand? He's a dog. It's his nature. He's going to bite. He's probably going to bark a couple times, and then I'm getting bit. And I can't blame the dog for that. So anytime you start pushing the blame when I say, well, so what happened here? Well, they didn't, or they couldn't. The rule within Bright Harbor is when I say, so what happened, the first sentence out of your mouth has to be I didn't build enough value. I didn't overcome this objection. I didn't do this. So when I go up and they go, how'd your hand get bit? I didn't get the dog to trust me. Doesn't matter what my intentions are. All of our intentions should be good. But you got to understand, a lead is not permission to sell. It is just somebody actually reacting to something. Now I'm going to go back to our clients again and get our mindset before we get, and I know, yes, you're going, where's the scripting? I'm getting there. Believe me, I'm getting there. Okay. This is important. This is laying the foundation so we have something to build on. If the people that we are talking to have a history, decades of making bad decisions, and now you come to them and you want to treat them like they're everybody else around you, that is why you are failing. Before I ever get to the script, this is the one thing you probably need to hear more than anything else. I go, and this is for all verticals. Okay. I can tell you the person in mortgage protection is the same as the annuity guy, is the same as the final expense guy when it comes to direct mail. I'm going to go out into the physical world just to make this analogy real quick. I live in South Carolina, where we don't have, I grew up north where we had basements. Down south, you have to build your house into a hill in order to have a basement. They're called walkouts. It means three sides are underground, one side isn't, because you built a house in there. So everything from my house, I have to walk uphill, up my driveway to get my mail. So I walk up to the mailbox and I get my mail, and I've got it and I'm looking through it. Before I come in the house, I make one stop. Before I come into the house, I go to the mailbox, and before I come in the front door, I stop one place. Where's that at?
Trash can.
Bingo. Ooh, see, Lori, look at you. You're already there. That's level 4 right there. There we go. Trash can. And what am I doing with the trash can? Dumping the stuff I don't want to see. If you're in direct mail, if you do direct mail as a source, and there's people who do, they're in the field and they go out and they use direct mail. I got no problem with that. If you do that and you have a 2% return rate, you are golden. 2%. So out of every 100 pieces of mail, how many of them, put in the chat? I'm getting everybody waking up here because I've been talking too long without asking anybody. In the chat, how many people out of 100 throw it away? Y'all are jumping ahead. I didn't ask the question yet. Thank you, Randall. Okay, see those numbers? 98. Think about that. For those of you in final expense, you're like, well, I've got Mutual of Omaha. I can talk to anybody. If they're over 50, they qualify. They qualify for a final expense product, absolutely. And if you go to church with people that are over 50, you should talk to them about it. If you're at the Walmart talking to somebody and they're over 50, you should talk to them about it. But if you get final expense leads, just because they're over 50 and under 80 and they fall in that category, they are not the people that you hang out with. This is not the greeter at Walmart. This is not your aunt. This is not your next door neighbor. 98% of the people that you walk around and talk to are not your clients, regardless of what your vertical is, because they respond to direct mail. They go on to Facebook's a little bit higher because of the interaction. But here's the deal. These people went to Facebook. Now, they probably Googled something, if you know how the algorithm works. They probably Googled something or talked about it because our phones record everything we do. And then on all of a sudden, the algorithm starts putting my ad on their timeline there. And they click on it and give me their information because they're looking for insurance. Who does that? Not me and not anybody I know. So if you start, again, this hopefully this will make some lights come on for some people. If you speak to these people the way that you speak to all of your friends and your family. I once went through training. I did a training with a guy one time, and we were doing some role playing the next day. And I was like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? And finally it came in, he goes, well, I was role playing with my mother-in-law, and she said that didn't make sense, and she didn't do this, and he changed the entire script based on her. I said, one question, and then we're done. Has your mom ever filled out a form that she got in the mail and sent it in to get insurance? She goes, oh, no, she would never do that. Then why are you putting your script after her? That doesn't make any sense. And it was real quiet. And I'm like, can I do my job now? Because I got a couple $100,000 that says I can tell you how to do this. The way you're doing it is absolutely wrong. And I'm going to say for most of you, you probably are thinking that you're like, okay, I got this. They do not think the way we think. And again, it's not I'm better than them by any stretch of the imagination. I'm a human being. You cut me, I bleed. I'm nothing else. I am no better than anybody else. I got plenty of skeletons in my closet I don't want anybody knowing about. That is not what this is about. It's they are in society and they're in a place where nobody will reach out to them. And you know what they do? I got to go to Facebook. That's how I've got to get my insurance. They fill it out. I'm going to share this and I'll be done. I've spent way more time on this than I intended to. Sorry. They go through this cycle right here. Let me get this up here. This is the psychology of how our brains, this is everybody. And I'm going to give you an example so you can say, okay, Tony knows what he's talking about here. This is psychology. It is the 5 steps of the emotional cycle of change. They're sitting at number 1. They do not have insurance and they know they need it. That is definitive because you have their information. If you have a lead, they realize they have a need. But insurance is not a need except for us. We want to make them believe it's a need. People don't buy, the people in America, again, going back to emotional versus logic, do people in America buy what they want or what they need? Which one's emotional? The want. Look at us. Everybody's overweight. Everybody's got more debt than they know what to do with. Everybody's got all that stuff. That's just America. It's a great country. I'm still not trashing my country. Just telling you how we are. It's all emotional based. So your logic based data presentation bores them to tears and you move them into a need, and a need is a bill. You just called them up and spent an hour of your time to say, do you want to spend more money on somebody who's broke at the end of the month as it is? This is why right here, this cycle that they go through, because you're like, why are they filling out forms then? And I know if you've been frustrated at the end of a day dialing, you've probably said that out loud. By the way, that's the second dumbest question you can ask a client. That's another story for another day. All right. They start off up here, uninformed. Yeah, my cursor's moving here. Uninformed optimism. They're excited about it. Then the calls start coming in. The declines start coming in. The jerks that are just going to dial and hang up on them, and they're just looking because they're transactional and they're giving them quotes and throwing them to the wind and everything else. And then they go through this period where they turn into, well, it's not worth it. But you know what'll help them? If I fill out another form. Now I'm going to embarrass somebody on here. When you get a brand new lead, how many of you actually believe you're the first person that they've ever requested information on insurance from? Don't be shy. Okay. I only saw Shelby's hand. Let me give you a quick story from last week. I'm on the phone. I'm listening into a client, to a rep of mine. She's going through it. It was 12:30. And he made the comment she wasn't the first person that day he had spoken to. There is almost zero chance. I will tell you, if you were in telesales, you're ordering at least 50 leads a week and you don't miss. You take off 2 weeks for vacation. You go all year long, I'll give you 5. Just statistically, it's got to be that. I'll give you 5 of them that nobody else has spoken to them before you do. Every single other client, every single other lead, you are not the first person that they've ever spoken to because of this right here. How's this work in the real world? So you can say, well, does this psychology really work? Yes, it's a dopamine hit. It's how it works, how our brains work. Here's us, January 1st. I need to lose some weight. I'm going to start going to the gym and I'm going to get on a diet. I'm like super excited about it. And then a week later, you're like, this kind of sucks. It hurts. I'm sore every day. I'm having to get up early. I don't really like it. And 2 weeks later, right here, most people have given up on their New Year's resolutions before the end of January. And you're here. But you know what you do? You make yourself feel better. I need another dopamine hit. Dopamine's the drug in our brain that gets released that makes us do stuff. It's the addictive drug. It's the stuff that when you're addicted to gambling, this is why. But this is us being addicted to our lifestyle. We say, oh, you know what I do? I need to do keto. I had the wrong diet. And you're right back up here again. I'm super excited now. I've got my macros. I've got an app. I'm going to track what I'm eating. And then a week later, you're like, this going without sugar crap, that's for the birds, man. I don't like it. Got headaches. I'm talking here, okay? Got headaches. You got the stupid keto flu thing. Ain't fun. Gets down here. I'm still not losing weight. I was supposed to lose 50 pounds this week. What happened? Oh, you know what? Dopamine hit. I'm going to do carnivore, which I'm doing, which is awesome. I'm going to do carnivore now. That's what the problem was. I was getting I was still bringing in too much sugar. I'm going to do it. And the cycle rolls. So don't put yourself above your clients. Understand they're going through the same dopamine hit you are. It's just something different. Our brains all work the same. That's how I've set this up. I learned when I was in college. I started taking psychology. Then I found out you can't make any money in psychology with a 4-year degree. You can only be like a high school guidance counselor. That's about all you qualify for. And I was like, okay, that's just not going to work for me. So I want to actually do something. But unless I was willing to go to school for another 4, 6, 7, 8, 10 years, I wasn't ever going to make any money in psychology. Then I got into sales, found out how we think, how we operate, how we do all this stuff. It actually matters. And there's actually money in it. And so lo and behold, I became a trainer. And now I can start teaching people how psychology works. People don't change. And I will recommend to you a very, very, very important book from my life about almost 5 years ago when I flipped everything. Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss. You can go onto YouTube, do Chris Voss or the Black Swan group, and you'll get, and there's tons. I got the master class with the app and all that good stuff. There's tons of free. You don't have to go to his stuff. It will absolutely change the way you do everything. And you're going to find this out tonight because I'm going to go through a bunch of stuff that's going to, in the opening, which we're getting to right now, so that you can go, okay, let's get to this. Come on. So that you can see how the psychology actually works. So having said all that, and the last thing I'll go into, because I did say there's 4. So we've got us, we've got the clients, we've got the leads. The last thing is the CRM. If you do not have a CRM, I don't know what you're doing in the 21st century. You've got to have something that allows you to move as a professional inside of this. So your CRM, going back to my analogy of being instruction, your CRM is a tool. It is not what you do. It's a tool to let you do it better. It should track your business for you. It should give you strategies because you can look and you can see your metrics and you can see what's going on. It's going to help you work better. It should be tracking so that you can actually say, okay, here's where I work better. You should be able to see your numbers and everything else. Say, oh, I'm better on Tuesdays than I am on Wednesdays. That's weird, but you'll be able to see all that stuff. It should be able to record your calls and make sure that you're doing stuff so you can play it back and forth. And if you already have the thought in your mind, well, I'm not allowed to record calls because I'm in a state and there's like half a dozen that require you to let the other person know they're being recorded. Stop it. You're not using it for them in a court of law. You're using it for yourself. It never leaves your CRM. So don't get all, panties in a wad because we're recording calls and people don't know it. That's just ridiculous. And it tells me something about you as well. You're really majoring in the minors there. Okay. But it should record your call. It should have AI on it as well. You should have the ability for it to work behind the scenes, that as your leads are coming in and I'm talking to Betty, that then John fills out a form and it comes in. There should be somebody that can interact with them and set an appointment, put it on my calendar, make sure I got things to do. Most of you know about that because you're here because of Lead to Client and Corey and everything else. Let me tell you why that, and then this is a free commercial for Corey, he's not even here. Let me tell you why Lead to Client's the best out there. And I say that the best. I started, by the time I got to Corey, I'd gone through about 12 different CRMs. 2 of them were not Go High Level. All the rest of them were some version of high level platforms. I learned about workflows and opportunities and writing this and on, and it just was the same thing. The reason I got away from that is the same reason I got away from doing my own ads. I was spending more time working about my avatar and working about ad copy and making sure my leads were right and all this stuff and wasn't spending time selling insurance. Then I started doing the same thing with Lead to Client. Before I got to Lead to Client, I was spending more time working on the back end, working on workflows and do all this stuff. I'm like, I didn't have any time to sell life insurance. Here's what happens. You've got two families. You got the people that know Go High Level like crazy. They don't understand insurance at all. They can help you build a workflow, but you're building it. And why is that a bad idea? The same reason you telling somebody how to do leads is a bad idea. You let the person who understands leads build the leads for you and build the workflow for you and put the ad together and do all the rest of that stuff. Let the experts do what they do. Instead, you show up with some nerd who knows how to build stuff and tell him what you want it to do. And he builds it because he can. And you know what it does? Nothing. It doesn't work. Then you got the other side. You got the super sales guy. I'll put myself in that category, who thinks he knows everything about everything. That way I can talk down about myself. And it's got it all together. Oh, I can go to Go High Level and I just got to pay $1,000 and I can get a white glove thing and I can build my own CRM, and everybody out there is building their own CRMs now because it's so easy and they're crap. And you can run them for a couple weeks, couple months, maybe for yourself, you can keep it going, but eventually you're going to get to the point where it's going to outgrow you. And then you got to have service, which is why Corey has 6 employees. So until you're willing to step up, that's a whole separate business to run. Until you're willing to do that, get out of the CRM business and let somebody who knows what they're doing, because Corey sold insurance in the field and then transferred to telesales. That knowledge went into somebody who's brilliant in what they do. And you put those 2 worlds together, that's lightning in a bottle. It took me about 2 days to go, whoa, what the heck? This is different. Completely, thank you, David, completely different than every other CRM I've ever been a part of. So I'm just throwing that out there. Free commercial, yes. Most of you know about Corey and know about Lead to Client. I don't care who else you have. I probably have tried it out and I can tell you why I didn't like it, why I do. And I can probably look at yours and tell you why you're not being successful with it. It should be it should be a supplement to you, not your business. A supplement. Again, it's an air gun instead of a hammer. That's it. I can still do, because if my CRM shut down tomorrow, I still got paper and I got a cell phone. And that's how I started. And you can make money. And I know guys right now that have $100 and $200 million agencies that started with a spiral notebook and a pen. And that's how we ran leads. All right. So that is what it is. Now, having said all that, and I'm way over time at this point. So now I'm going to talk really fast because now we're going to get into what it actually said. Okay. Why is all that important? Because we're going back to mindset. As I said, it has to come back to how you believe, because the words don't mean anything on the paper. And I'll give this to everybody that hangs out till the end here. But the words on the paper don't mean anything if it's not here first. I really believe right now, and I have the numbers behind it. The last 26 presentations that I have done over the course of the last probably 2 or 3 weeks, so I'm not full time anymore, I've got 25 out of 26 apps. And I know exactly where I missed the 26th person. I let her feed me a line. She was acting like a lay down. And when she got to the end, she threw me the curveball because I didn't kill it at the beginning. It was my fault. I was just beside myself because I know better. I'm not saying that to brag. I'm saying that so you know it's possible. It doesn't have to be that hard. I don't know who this was. I want to say it was Tim Grover said, if your only goal is to grind every day, you will eventually grind the very thing you're trying to build. Now you have to have it at the beginning. No doubt about it. You've got to put in the time. Your first 90 days, you better hate telesales. You better hate it completely because you're doing it so much. But at some point, efficiency has got to come in. You give me 4.5 hours in one setting. I just need 4.5 hours on the phone any day of the week, anytime. Okay, you tell me, oh, I don't have any luck between 12 and 4:30. Okay, I'll call every day between 12 and 4:30, and we'll see who writes more business at the end of the week, because I don't care. It's a mindset thing. So these words, though they're good, they don't mean anything without the belief behind it. That's why I always hesitate when somebody goes, hey, send me your script. I'm like, okay, but you're going to be calling me back because you're not going to understand what's going on here. Here's the generality, okay? And again, I'll give you a copy of this. Actually, I don't. Do I have a copy of it where I can put it up here? You can follow along. No, I don't. I'll have to send it to you when we're done here. I'll have everybody email me. I'll put my stuff up here and you can email me and I'll send you a copy. But I'll give you both. I have two versions I'm going to go over very quickly right now. Now, knowing everything that you need to know about background and foundation, why does this work? Very quickly. Here's the opening. I'm going to stay on it verbatim so we can stay for the sake of time. Hey, Mary, it's Tony. I just received your request for final expense options in your area. Mentioned your favorite hobby is gardening. And also your date of birth is February 27th, 1957. Did I read any of that wrong? No, you didn't, Tony. Great. I'm your licensed medical underwriter. Been assigned to your case. We're doing everything virtually now. It's 100% over the phone. Makes it way easier. Yes, I'm being boring here, but I'm doing this quickly. Makes it way easier and way faster. Takes about 10 or 15 minutes for the eligibility part. Go ahead and grab a pen and paper for me. We'll get this taken care of for you right now. While you're getting that, let me verify a little bit of the information. Make sure I got the right Mary Smith. Is there a better number to reach you other than the number I'm calling you on that ends in 1234? Good. I also see your zip code is 29582. Put you in North Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Perfect weather down there, right? Yeah. Okay, good. All right. Also, oh, geez, Mary, sorry. For whatever reason, your physical address didn't come through. Help me out here. Where you get your mail? 123 Elm Street. Perfect. Okay. Final question, and then we're going to chat here a little bit. If I looked at your driver's license, what would I see for your height and your weight? That's our opening. Every single time, no misses. Now, why? Let me go through that very quickly. Number one, hey, Mary, this is Tony. If you pause or ask the question, oh, I'm going to role play with my call. Hey, Mike. Hey, Mike. If you picked up the phone, I go, hey, Mike.
Who are you and what do you want?
Correct. Instantly, you know that's not somebody you know. Anybody know who Jordan Belfort is? Wolf of Wall Street, right? Any of you buy his straight line product, the straight line selling system? Right, I'm going to save you 10 grand. Here's what it is. Shortest line between 2 points is a straight line. That's what you want to do inside of a sales process. From the time they pick up the phone to the end, straight line. We do not let them do this all over the place. So when I start off, and the reason I brought him up is because his whole thing is you've got about 4 seconds. I say with our clients, we got about 6 or 7 because they're a little older, or you can talk a little slower, all that kind of stuff. But it's less than 10 for you to associate yourself with professionalism and the fact that you have control. Inside of what we do, here's our triangle. If you're going to do something, take notes really, really quickly. This is the triangle of trust, not the Illuminati. We don't do this. We're not the Illuminati. We just do the triangle right here. That was a joke, guys. Nobody even laughed at my jokes. I know it's 9, but come on. Seriously. Thank you. Somebody. You draw a triangle. On the base, the bottom part is trust. Then there's going to be 2 legs of it that go like this on the top. What are the 2 elements of trust? What do we need?
Empathy and
establish?
authority.
Thank you. Hillary's alive now. Now you're up to 6. This is awesome. Yes. Yes. Okay.
Right.
Empathy and authority. Empathy is kind of the friendliness, getting to know them a little bit, all that good stuff. Authority is obviously telling them what to do and taking control. Which one is the most important in the opening? Empathy or authority?
Authority.
100%. And I will tell you, most of you lose the call in the first 5 or 6 seconds, probably in the first one, because you go, Mike? Hey, Mike? And you stop. Hey, Betty? You don't know who that is. You're like, well, what if they don't answer the phone? Who cares? So most people that are filling out forms are giving you their cell number. So 1 out of 300, the husband picks up the phone, not a big deal. Hey, Betty, this is Tony, blah, blah. And all of a sudden I get, this isn't Betty. Oh, sorry. I didn't hear you when you picked up the phone. Anybody die? Are you embarrassed? Okay, fine. You make a joke about it. You become a human being and let him get Betty on the phone. But since that normally doesn't happen and Betty is by herself and she gives you her cell number, Betty's going to answer the phone. So as soon as the line clicks, if you're using a wave dialer or using a dialer system, whatever the case is, as soon as you don't hear a dial tone, Betty picks up the phone. I don't care who it is. If it's a female voice, hey, Betty, it's Tony. It's Betty, not Betty Smith. I'm not asking if she's there. That's a deadly, deadly, deadly combination. Saying their last name and then asking if they're there. Now you're being official. It's, hey, Betty, it's Tony. Not your last name, not your company name. That's just more stuff for them to argue on. Understand what is their, when they pick up the phone, they see their phone. It's a number they don't recognize. They pick up the phone. As soon as they realize they don't know who you are, what's their goal?
To get off the phone.
To get off the phone. So I am not going to give them any meat on that bone to chew on whatsoever. So the opening is designed to not give them anything. We're not going, because you can win that battle and go, well, why'd you fill the form? And you get this and I got this and I know who you are and everything else. And then you lose the war and they hang up on you. What good did that do? Yay, you won. And you're broke. I don't know. That doesn't seem like a win to me. So in the opening, we're not going to give them anything to argue with. Hey, Betty, it's Tony. She doesn't know who Tony is, but I sound pleasant. Don't be a jerk and don't be over the top. You don't want to be over. You're not a used car salesman. Hey, Tony, how are you? Don't get crazy and become a clown. Just be positive, upbeat. People like energy. They like buying from people who actually are professional and are busy and are pleasant. Do all of those things in the first 2 seconds that they hear your name. Hey, Betty, it's Tony. I just received your request for final expense. What do they hear all day long? What do they hear all day long is, hey, Betty, I'm just getting back to you about that form you filled out on Facebook. So don't say that because everybody else is saying that. Be different inside the first 3 seconds. I just received your request. Now, do not use the word form because if you're in final expense, they associate that with a physical form. I put my name down on something. No, you didn't. They don't associate typing in stuff and clicking a button on Facebook as filling out a form. They're not in the 21st century yet. So when you say that, you're creating something for them to argue about. I didn't fill anything out. You know very well they did, or you wouldn't have their information. So just stop it. Stop listening to their nonsense. We're going to get to that here in a second. That's how I'm going to end everything. Hey, Betty, it's Tony. I just received your request for final expense options in your area. It's just generic. I can say it to every single lead. It doesn't matter if it's 6 months old, 6 hours old. It doesn't matter. The opening doesn't change. Do not. The best thing for you to be is laser focused and sharp as a tack. Okay, I just quoted Jordan Belfort. Sharp as a tack. So you got to say the same thing over and over. If your opening changes every single time somebody picks up the phone, that's why you're not successful. You've got to be consistent. So anyway, I got your request for final expense options in your area. No pause at all. Zero. No pause. You mentioned your favorite hobby was, or whatever your lead source is. Ours, because we use business in a box leads through Lead to Client. We get the hobby and we get their date of birth. Maybe you get their address, you get their beneficiary. I don't care. You have something that you can tie into. I have information about you. You mentioned that your favorite hobby is horseback riding, and you mentioned your date of birth was 4/15/1957. Did I read any of that wrong? This is called no orientation instead of yes momentum. And yes, I can sit here all day long. I can go over to my closet over here. I have boxes of stuff that I've written myself. Sales organization, everything. I've written books and everything on yes momentum, why it works, and everything else, and it doesn't. Follow Chris Voss. Don't believe me. Follow an FBI negotiator who's done it all over the world, and not even in his language. He's talking to somebody else, and the other person's translating and doing it. The psychology of how we make decisions and how we think doesn't change. And if you say yes, 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 you get people saying yes. They know there's a trap at the end. If I say yes enough, he's going to ask me to buy something. That's just what happens. It's how it works. So stop doing that. And if you give them no, now they have power. They feel like they're in control. Now we have a collaboration going on. So did I read anything wrong? Did I say anything wrong? Did I get that wrong? Whatever the case is, instead of did I get that right? You also have to imagine I've been sitting in a house, those of you who've done this, and the lady picks up the phone while she's talking to me because I didn't have control at the time. And she picks up the phone and she's like, uh-huh. And she's literally changing the channel on the TV at the same time. Yep, yep. Okay, thanks. Clicks. Trying to sell me something. I'm like, what? How was that a sales presentation? Because all he did is say yes, 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 yes. And she's like, yeah. I have a whole training on that. 3 types. You got to go to Chris Voss, 3 types of yeses and all that good stuff. So we're not going to ask yes-oriented questions. That's why that question says, did I read any of that wrong? Because it's going to get them to say no. Now, I also know, because I've done this long enough, that they're going to say no, but. How did you get my information? No, but this isn't a good time. No, but who are you again? No, but whatever. So as soon as anything starts coming out of their mouth, I'm already talking over the top of them. Did I read any of that wrong? No. Great. John, I'm the licensed, or sorry, talking to Betty, get my clients messed up here. Betty, I'm the licensed medical underwriter that's been assigned to your case. We're doing everything virtually now, so it's 100% over the phone, way easier for you and way quicker. Why am I telling them that? Because I'm going to tell them what we're going to do. There's got to be a benefit for them. This generation does know what the radio is, so I'm going to talk about it. It's WIIFM. It's a favorite radio station. It stands for What's in It for Me. That's all they care about. If you're talking and it's not a benefit to them, you might as well be clanging gongs. You are nothing. It's an advantage to them. So we're doing everything over the phone, so it's way quicker and way faster and way easier for you. That's what I'm saying to them right there. Way more convenient. Matter of fact, eligibility only takes 10 or 15 minutes. Now you're going, well, Tony, you're going to be on the phone with them for an hour. I know, but eligibility is me just asking questions about their health and questions about their budget. That I can do in less than 10 because I've done this so long. So when we get to that point, it's only going to be 10 or 15 minutes. Nobody's ever questioned me on that, ever. I've got hundreds of thousands of presentations at this point. Nobody's ever said, hey, well, that's not true. I've had a few clients that at the end, they're like, we were even on the phone for an hour and a half. I didn't know we were, wow, this has been good. You're like really, they should feel that way. This is weird. This is weird. Because I like my insurance guy. Yeah, get used to it. So in any case, so we're breaking that down. Name, one name, their first name, got your request. You mentioned these key components, whatever you get in your leads, and then did I read any of that wrong? It's getting them involved, and they're saying no out of the gate, so they feel like they have power. Before they can say anything else, here's who I am. I'm your licensed medical underwriter. They don't even know what that is. I don't even know what that is. I just made that up. Licensed medical underwriter assigned to your case. What case? I don't know, but I'm just going to keep talking. Been assigned to your case. We're doing everything virtually now, everything else. All of these are designed just for you to just get little blips. You're talking milliseconds in people's brains. 1 second is an eternity when people are processing information, the way our brains work. So you're talking like you're just keeping this thing going, keeping this thing going. Go ahead now. What do we get to? Now we get to a command. I want to make sure I have control back to our authority. Go ahead and get a pen and paper for me. We'll get this taken care of for you right now. Go ahead and get a pen and paper for me. We'll get this taken care of for you right now. Half a second. Go ahead and get a pen and paper for me. I'll get this taken for you right now. While you're getting that, I'm not leaving it up to silence. Do not have silence on the phone unless you've asked a question and you're waiting for an answer. It's the only time silence is appropriate. Other than that, you are talking or they are talking, and mostly they need to be talking about stuff you want to talk about. Go ahead and get a pen and paper. We'll get this taken care of for you right now. While you're getting that, let me verify the rest of the information to make sure I got the right Betty Smith. Is there a better number to reach you? Not, is this the best number for you? Because they're going to say yes. If they can say yes, don't say it. I can promise you this. According to Chris Voss, you just go through the current script you have. You don't have to have mine. You go through the current script you have, flip all the yes questions to no, 30% increase. That's his stats, not mine. I can tell you both occurred with me. I went down in time and up in volume. So it was a force multiplier for me. I will never change. You could not, there's nothing that you could do to get me to come off the system now. Because now I've been doing it for 4 years and I can tell you it works every single time. Why? Because he's an FBI negotiator. His whole book, Never Split the Difference. So you got a guy inside of a bank, he's got 4 hostages. You've gone back and forth for a day. You're like, you know what? Tell you what, Hendo's going to be my guy inside the bank. Hendo, I know you got 4 guys in there. You want to shoot them. I want you to let all 4 go. Tell you what, let 2 go. You shoot the other 2. We'll call it a day. We'll split the difference. That's a terrible negotiator. That's terrible. Who wants it? Who wants to be on the inside with that guy on the outside? It's like, no, you've got to, not only do you've got to get all 4 of those people out safely, you've got to have the guy on the inside, have it be his idea over the phone. I'm like, I think these skills might work. And I started following him and dug into it. So that's why all these questions are no oriented. Is there a better number to reach you other than the one I'm calling you on that ends at 1234? No. Let me see. Your zip code is 29582. That puts you in North Myrtle Beach. I'm just saying it. It's a stat. I'm not asking, is that correct? I'm just saying it so that they will go, yes, that's correct. They are getting involved. Yep, that's where I live. Okay, well, Mary, now for whatever reason, your physical address didn't come through. You got to help me out here. Where do you get your mail? You've got to help me out. Help is the key word there. I'm going to get that in a second. Where do you get your mail? I'm not asking where they live because I just told them we're doing everything over the phone and they may not trust me at this point. They probably don't. And they're like, why do you need, I'm just giving them, I'm giving them fodder to fight me. Why do you need my address? I thought you said we're doing everything over the phone. Where do you get your mail? That's way less because it may be a PO box and I'm not going to argue with them. Give me the PO box. Fine. I'll get your address later when we're in the application. That's okay. We don't need it. It's just something to get to talk. Where do you get your mail? I get smart Alex from time to time at the mailbox. Perfect. Right at the post office. Perfect. I'm glad you do that. If he brought it to your house, where would that be? You've got to be ready. Okay. Well, 123 Elm Street. Okay, perfect on that. Now, final question, and then we're going to chat. If I looked at your driver's license, what would I see for your height and weight? You'd be shocked how many people go, well, I don't know, I'm gonna have to get up and get that. And they're getting used to, I've had them on the phone for 30 seconds. They already got up twice. Who's got control of that call? Me or them? Me. That ensures at the end, they're going to do what they're told. They'll get up and go get their driver's license. I'm going to need it anyway. I also like it, and this is just a quick tidbit. The reason I did that is because if they say, well, I don't have one, for those of us who are in insurance, might be important to know why they don't have that, because there are certain things that disqualify them at that point from most of my products. But it gets you into conversations, bottom line. And then I have two jokes I tell, one of two jokes every single time. When they come back and they say, oh, I'm 5'2" and 115 pounds. Perfect. Just want to make sure that you understand my mom raised me right. I am never allowed to ask a woman how much she weighs or what her age is. And then here I am for a living. This is what I do. So that's my backdoor way of approaching it. And they laugh. Ha 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 ha. Or if she says I'm 5'2" and 215 pounds, I don't want her getting all, self-conscious. I'm like, all right, that's good. The bottom line is most of our carriers just want to make sure you're not going to be featured on my 600-pound life next month. So you're perfect, good enough. And I move into the next part of our conversation. And if you've gone through any of my trainings, my team does this all the time. They're like, don't tell the stupid joke again. Can I tell the same joke? You can listen to every recording that I have. One of those two jokes happens right there every single time. No misses, none. And up at the top, when I say, go get a pen and paper, and they go, yeah, I already got them ready. I quickly go, yeah, because I want to put myself in the same category and I'm old. We're the generation that remember when the phones were attached to the wall and we had to have a pen and paper sitting there ready to take messages. Now, of course, the pen never worked. I don't know why we ever did that. It doesn't matter. You could take a brand new pen, put it there. And I start telling that little story and they're laughing and joking. And I've gone from here to human, just like that. They're not hanging up on me now. And I've had them on the phone for 10 seconds. If you want to know about help, because I said there, help me out here, and tell me where you get your mail. You'll have to go to my YouTube channel. I'll give you the link here in a second. I have a whole training on that I did at our IMO a few years back. I was speaking, we were doing telesales, we were doing the opening. And I specifically said how important your words are. And I said, and I just used this for an example. I said, and in a group, it's all filmed the whole time. So I'm going to show you how important your words are, but I'm going to need y'all to help me out with this. So the first thing I need is a pen. And somebody handed me a pen. I said, okay, now who has a notebook I can borrow? Oh, George. I don't even know who George is. I just point out and say, hey, dude, I'm going to need your glasses. He gave me glasses, did everything else. The last one I always do is, okay, the last thing I'm going to need is a $5 bill. Comes up here. Now I got all this stuff sitting on my paper. And I ask everybody, how did I get that? You ask. I said, no, I didn't. I didn't ask a single person. I said, I need. And I actually pointed you and said, give me your glasses. And you gave them to me. Why? Because psychologically, when I use the word help, your brain shifts over into the right brain and you are controllable. It's not magic. It's not voodoo. It's just the way it is. So I put that inside the script at the beginning so I can get some information that I don't have, which is their street address. Doesn't matter what it is. I would use it if in your script, even if you have it, just to see if you can keep them in control. Now, after that goes through, I go into the next part of our scripting, which is our setup. We go through an empty statement. We start the actual presentation. That should happen every single time. Before I got two versions. I'm going to go, and I'm way over on time. I am so sorry, guys. I'm going to go fast here. Any comments or questions on the one that I just went through? I went through it speedy. Somebody say like or I don't. Actually, somebody say if you don't like something. Tell me on here that you don't like. So I'd rather overcome that than people that are like, oh, that's great. That's golden. I love it. Yeah, okay. I love it. I know. I've used it It's got a couple $100,000 times another zero underneath of it. Okay. So it does work. Now, if you want to do, we also have within our group at Bright Harbor, we let people, because we have an LOA program, and we have generated in about 8 or 9 months about 20,000 leads ish. And we let people call out of the bulk side, the people that haven't answered, they don't have a policy with us yet. So we let them dial out of that, just whatever states they have, they get access to those. So we started doing that because some of them have heard I just received your request, or they've heard something. So we wanted to make it quicker, get to it faster. So that's the second part. You'll actually get 2 front end stuff. You're gonna have to send me your email. I'll email it out to you. But the second one is more direct. This is for people that are a higher skill set. I will tell you that right off the bat. Okay. The first one is designed for you to just kind of glaze over everything. Actually, let me do this before I go any further. There are 2 things you do need to write down. Every single objection can be handled with these 2 phrases. Understand, you got to know the philosophy first. People ask questions. Everybody on the planet asks questions for one of 2 reasons. Either they are asking you a question because they want information. Option A is information. Or option B is to control you, manipulate you, control the conversation. We call those rhetorical, if you want the fancy name. Those are the only 2 questions that you can ask. Now, when you're inside of your opening and going all the way through what I just did there, and they try and cut you off and stop, and who is this and what do you want? Do you actually think they want to know who you are? They're just getting you so that you are under control. So when you go, hey, oh, stop that. Who is this? Who is this? You say, this is Billy, and I'm just responding back to your request for information. You filled out a form on Facebook. You filled out a form on Facebook. And you go, no, I didn't. Click. Call's over. Why? Because they asked the question. They asked the question. So I ignore it completely. That's rule 1. Just ignore it. Now, if you have to say something, first thing you say is, great question. I'm going to get to that in a minute. And just keep going. That's actually option 2. That's actually the second one I would say. Option 1 is, I'm going to see if there's anybody on here that knows. It's a reason for the call. I can't find anybody. I'm looking at faces here. That's the reason for the call. That's all you say. Hey, Mike, it's Tony. I just received your request for final expense option here. Yeah, I already got that taken care of. I know. That's the reason for the call. And you keep moving. They haven't got it taken care of. And if they did, it doesn't matter. Ignore it. That's the reason for the call. And if they're really persistent, great question, Hendo. I'm going to get that in a second. Those 3 things you say to every single objection under the sun until you have given them some information they can actually object to. Because up to that point, they can object to anything. They don't have enough information to know they're not interested. They don't have enough information to know they got this taken care of. They don't have enough information to know they didn't fill out a form. They don't have enough information to know they don't know who you are. Great question. I'm going to get that in a minute. That's the reason for my call. Ignore and move on. Second thing is, now I'm going to go back to my secondary script here. This is designed to go a little bit more direct and get right into them fast. So if you're calling, say, an age lead, hey, and I have to look it up here because I'm just not as familiar to me because I just wrote this about a month and a half ago. Hey, Mary, it's Tony, licensed medical underwriter for the state. Now, if you have the ability for your CRM, if you're not calling through a wave dialer, you'll have it right there. So you can say for the state of Illinois or the state of North Carolina, whatever the case is. If you can get it to pop up, you can do it. But in any case, hey, Mary, it's Tony, licensed medical underwriter for the state of Illinois. Reason for the call, and she looks kind of like she still doesn't know who this is. Reason for the call is it looks like, sorry, I realize I'm running out of gas. Got to get some more Monster. Reason for the call is it looks like your eligibility for the new state regulated plans hasn't been confirmed. Is there any reason you wouldn't have responded to that information by now? Bam. It's a no-oriented question, and I just put them on their heels. They have no idea what they're talking about, what I'm talking about. And that's what I get most of the time is I don't even know what you're talking about. What do you mean? I just bump myself up. Bump myself up. Well, Mary, you may be eligible for the 2025 state regulated life plans designed for fixed income households in Illinois. I've been assigned your case, and at this point, we do everything virtually. This should start sounding familiar. We're doing everything virtually. It's a lot easier and way quicker for you. I'm just going to need to double confirm some information to make sure I proceed. Now, I'm sure you remember that there were only like 3 basic questions for qualifying anyway. Number 1, have you had a heart attack or a stroke in the last 2 years? And I'm just into pre-qualifying them. I don't do GI, so I want to get them off the phone as quickly as possible. That's just me. You follow your upline, okay? I just don't. Have you had a heart attack or a stroke in the last 2 years? Well, what does it have to, you may get some pushback there, but again, you're extracting things from them early on that they're not used to getting. Number 1, heart attack or stroke in the last 2 years. Nope, haven't anything. Okay, and before they can finish and asking more questions, any occurrence of cancer or complications of diabetes. I know I'm asking more than 2 questions, but I'm putting them under three things. So complications of diabetes or cancer. Nope, nothing with that. Okay, great. You smoker or non-smoker? Not. I'm not a non-smoker. Perfect. Okay. Do show your date of birth here as 5/15/1947. And your favorite hobby is blah, blah, blah. If you don't have a hobby, you just confirm the zip code at that point, right? Did I read any of that wrong? Still doing the no-oriented question. Nope, you didn't do that. Okay, great. Do have you in North Myrtle Beach? For whatever reason, your physical address didn't come through. Help me out here. Where do you get your mail? All right, you're going to want to go ahead and grab a pen and paper for me so I can get this taken care of for you right now. While you're getting that quick question, I looked at your driver's license, blah, 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 blah. So it should sound kind of similar so you can make the tweaks to your personal script as well. So it'll shift over there, okay? It's just a lot more direct and you're going to get a lot more people interacting with you. So I wouldn't try this out if you're less than 90 days old, or if you're having a good time with your script, just change them to no orientation. But the main thing is the reason that works is because I already know going in who I'm talking to and why I'm talking to them. Okay. Having said all that, I'm going to take a breath. And I know I went way over here, guys. I am so sorry. I mean, I get a little passionate about what I do. I want to make sure you get everything. And like I said, I've literally scratched the surface of what I actually do in training. But if you have any questions that you think other people would like to know, this would be the time to bring them up if you feel like it. If you think they would be worthwhile. Now I can do individual stuff later on. We can do one-on-ones and all that good stuff. I'll let you reach out to me. I'm going to give you all my information here in just a second if I can get my screen going. But real quick, any questions whatsoever before we wrap up for the night?
Hey, Tony, Akil here, man. This has been freaking phenomenal.
Akil the deal. What's up, man?
Super. Hey, our incomes are up after this call. Definitely tired, but glad I stayed on because you just keep dropping gems. I just wanted to know a quick question. Do you have the script that has all this updated language that you've been using?
Absolutely. And that was not planned, but thank you, Akil, because that little QR code will take you to my little dot profile. It's got all my social media, my email on it. I don't know if it has my phone number on it because I just did an update the other day. I don't think I have my message. So you can't text message me, but you can get hold of me through every other social media. If you email me, I will send to you everything that I showed you tonight. Just if you want something specific, if you want just the scripting, that's perfectly fine. We can line up a time where, individually on here, because you have an association with Lead the Client, I have no problem with chatting with you, just to kind of go over specific stuff. That goes for everybody that's on here. So if you send me an email and say, hey, I'd like to go to the script, can you work out a time? Maybe I'll do another Zoom. I'll do some more in-depth things to help you out. Maybe you're struggling with, specific things. I will tell you this in general. If the first time that you bring up the beneficiary is in the application, you're killing yourself. You literally can be writing twice as much business. If they don't know that they've got to give you a social and banking information before you get to the application, if they don't know that, you're killing yourself as well. Those things should not come up in the application. That's why it hurts you. But the opening, I'm a food guy. That's my sandwich. You've got to kill the opening and you got to know how to get out of the presentation into the close and get into the app. You kill those two parts, that part of the sandwich, everything else takes care of itself. But I'm more than happy to work with everybody because of this. Send me an email and we can go from there. I'll give you the updated version. I think back when I first talked to you, Akil, it was like, seriously, I think it was like version 3. And I'm like, and every time I change it, tweak something, I just make it like 3.1, 3.2. If I do a major overhaul, it went to 4. Right now it's at 5.2 because I made a couple of more tweaks since I changed it. So there's major changes for the one that you have for sure. And actually, If you have Lead the Client and you ask real nice, I can talk to Noah and he can actually load my script into your You can load it into your CRM.
Yep, I got
That goes
Agent
for
Client.
everybody here.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I have a
Going
question.
once? Sure.
Okay, after
Lori's
Somebody
come alive.
answers-
This is awesome.
yeah. After somebody answers and they say, I already got that taken care of. And you say, I know that's the reason for the call.
Right back
And-
into your script.
Okay. Which would be at that point, I just received a request.
Yeah.
Just go right there.
Wherever you are that they cut you off is when you say that's the reason for my call, you go right back into the sentence, wherever it is. Because they may not say it there and they may say it later on after you go, hey, go get a pen and paper for me. We'll get this taken care of for you right now. And you're like, what is this about? You know, okay. Yeah, you reached out, want to make sure there's funds available for your family. You got your pen and paper handy? Yeah, I already got that taken care of. I know that's the reason for the call. So in this case, I would just go into, I have your date of birth, here is this, I have your address, and you just go into the confirmation, wherever you are in the confirmation process. They
Okay.
don't have enough information. And to be frank, if you've been doing anything for any amount of time, what they think they have and what they actually have are probably not the same anyway.
Okay.
So it's
Thank
worth
you.
your while just to keep going. Good question though. Anybody else? And then we're gonna wrap it up. Okay. Now is where the magic happens, guys. You've got to take what you learned and put it into action. That's the bottom line. Because this doesn't mean anything with us just sitting here. Confidence closes deals. Mindset actually matters. Consistency is what wins. Doing the same thing over and over and over every single day. So if you took even one nugget away from today, I'll tell you, I was going to have them do it in the chat, but I don't want to keep everybody here longer. If you got anything from this at all, I would appreciate the feedback either through direct messages on social, send me an email, say, hey, I really appreciated this. This is the part I'm going to implement. And I'm looking forward to growing this part and all that good stuff. So just drop in, drop a note to me. I'll send you the script. And then you say, here's what I'm looking to implement. On that note, I'm going to say good evening because it has been very long. And again, if you can imagine doing this for 9 to 5 Monday through Thursday, that's what training is. If you're interested in Bright Harbor training, so just so you know, if you can handle it. But appreciate you all. You spent your time here. I don't take that lightly. Have a great evening. Reach out in any way you can. I am available. Because of your connection and how you got here. You don't have to worry about. We can have chats. All right. In the meantime, have a great one.
Thanks, Tony.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Great stuff, Tony. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yo,
Appreciate it.
Tony, thank you, man. This was major, baby.
Akil the deal. Let's see it. Make it happen.
Good night, Tony. Thank you.
I'm looking for you, Elizabeth. You better be on the board. I'm looking for you.
I know it. Talk soon.
All righty.
Bye-bye.
Take care,
Tony,
y'all.
just in time for my hockey, baby. Appreciate it.
I
Right
planned
on
that
the
just for
dot.
you. I planned that
Absolutely.
just for you. It was on my
Absolutely.
mind the whole time.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your time.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Hope Dallas wins. I like Dallas.
Me too, baby. Me too.
All right. Let me get rid of that. And there. And oops, forgot to stop the